Why are there so many reboots nowadays? I do not like the ending of TV shows. There are so many shows where I have never seen the final episode because often the endings are not as satisfying as they need to be. You know who also does not like endings? The people making TV shows, because they keep bringing them back for no reason. I mean, there is a reason, that reason being money, but you get my point. The main way TV production companies use already existing franchises to make another TV show to milk nostalgia and unwillingness to let go of the past and making a show again, because the audience have been proven to love the show, and that is why reboots exist. A reboot of a TV show means remaking and recreating all the characters, plotlines, and backstories for a new audience. Reboots typically occur after a TV show has been cancelled or on a hiatus for a large number of years since the original. The reboot tends to be modernized for current audiences, old and new. Sometimes reboot is used to refer to a sequel series or revival, like Harley 2021 or Blue's Clues and You. The purpose of a revival, which reintroduces an audience to most of the main characters and puts them in new situations or attempts to resolve storylines that many felt were never completed. A reboot and revival are two different things, but online they have seemed to merge into one. But not all reboots are successful and are a hit with previously established audiences, so we are going to be discussing both good and bad shows that were intended to continue the story of initially successful shows, and we'll see why some of them failed and why some of them succeeded. The first show I want to talk about is not actually a reboot, it was a revival, one of my favourites as a kid, and it's called Xiaolin Chronicles. The show was a revival of Xiaolin Showdown, which was an American animated show created by Kids WB and aired on Cartoon Network in the UK. The show lasted for 3 seasons with 52 episodes from November the 1st, 2003 to May 13th, 2006. The show was about these 4 children being trained to fight the forces of evil, someone called CPS. These 4 fight using the 4 elements, fire, wind, earth, and water, to protect the Shengongwus, which are these ancient magical weapons created to fight this witch Wuya. The Shengongwus were placed all over the world to stop them from falling into the wrong hands, and our heroes need to find them before the villains. These 4, Omi, Kimiko, Ramunda, and Clay, are chosen to be Shaolin warriors to train them into be Shaolin dragons. We also see them adapting to their new lives as warriors because Ramunda, Kimiko, and Clay were from different countries and were kind of just dropped into saving the world. It was nice watching all 4 of them grow to trust and rely on each other under the guidance of Master Feng and the assistance of Dojo. There are many reasons I think Xiaolin Chronicles failed. I'm confused why Xiaolin Chronicles existed in the first place. Yes, I know the main reason would be money, but why Xiaolin Showdown? When I think of iconic Cartoon Network shows that might come back, I never thought Xiaolin Showdown. I enjoyed the show, but no one else has ever shared that sentiment with me whenever I've mentioned this show. Xiaolin Chronicles started with all 4 characters now being Shoku warriors, which is the next step to becoming a dragon warrior. They are joined by 2 new characters, Ping Pong and Willow, who are trying for one of the open positions for Shaolin Monk. Spoiled by the fact Ping Pong is in the opening credits with the main 4 and Willow is not. We know who won that. They made Ping Pong the Shaolin warrior of wood. You know, the 5 key elements: fire, wind, water, earth, and wood. Even in the theme song, Ping Pong seems out of place. The main thing that annoys me about this show is that Xiaolin Showdown ended well and on a high note, just for them to dig up the grave of this show, Frankenstein it back together, then leave it on a cliffhanger for no reason. The show first premiered on different networks in some countries. The only show that's popular that can bounce around networks and still get viewership is Pokemon, which was on Disney XD, Cartoon Network, and CITV in the UK. I love Xiaolin Showdown to my core, but it was never popular enough for people to seek it out, so I don't know why they did this. Xiaolin Chronicles started on Disney XD in America and then ran for 20 episodes, and then they gave it to Netflix for 6 episodes and then they cancelled it. I don't know why they did this. Another reason this show failed was that it aired 7 years after the initial series ended, almost a decade after the show started. Most of the people who initially watched the show were no longer watching kids programming, and they did not air reruns of the show, so this being a continuation of the original show, all 52 episodes had already happened and new audiences were just thrown in there and expected to figure out what was happening. Also, why do they call him Ping Pong? Okay, moving on.
And they're still the same! Meddling kids, right? Right?
Be Cool Scooby-Doo was the 12th incarnation of Scooby-Doo animated series. The Scooby-Doo franchise has been going since 1969, so it has had a lot of reboots and changes over the years. This version is considered one of the least popular reboots. The plot is not too different from the previous versions. It follows Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred traveling around the world solving mysteries in the Mystery Machine, like in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, What's New Scooby-Doo, and many others. The main thing that was different from previous versions of Scooby-Doo is that this one leaned far more into comedy. Scooby-Doo has always had jokes in it.
When do we ever go to a place that is not haunted?
Wait, who's driving?
Green means go, right?
Because Scooby-Doo contained far more slapstick humour. Those jokes being hit or miss, as are all comedies, but overall I found this show enjoyable to watch. One of the reasons I think it failed in the eyes of the public is it came so close after Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated had just ended, and it was a jarring change of direction, so it was hard to get into. Mystery Incorporated leaned far more into drama and the creepy element of Scooby-Doo, leaving the episodes on cliffhangers. Multiple characters died in that show. I remember Scooby-Doo's girlfriend in hospital in a coma. There was so much going on in that show, just for the franchise to do a complete 180 and now have Daphne with puppet on her hands and feet. For some people, this was the first and only version of Scooby-Doo they had ever watched, so seeing this change was very shocking to them. But for more seasoned veterans of the franchise like me, the 180 was not as jarring, since I had already watched shows like Hot Name Scooby-Doo, with one of the ongoing gags with Fred accusing a kid called Red Herring of the crime every episode. So a comedy version of Scooby-Doo was not that shocking to me. One of the key reasons most people were not even willing to give this show a shot was the art style. Until recent years, I did not realize that many people cared about the art style change of a show, but I was wrong. I recently found out a lot of people will stop watching a show if they do not like the art style change, like with Ben 10 Ultimate Alien to Ben 10 Omniverse, which I actually like, but it is very different, so I can understand the hesitance. There was also season 1 and 2 of American Dragon. A lot of people stopped watching because of the art change. I did not like it as well, but I got over it and continued watching the show. Most people hated the change in the dragon design. I did not really care. The true crime of change in the Kara is the art change of these twins, because this was the downgrade of the century. This should be a crime, and I am getting distracted, so back to the initial topic.
Whoa! What'd I miss?
The art style is the main reason most people did not want to give this reboot a shot. A lot of people who did watch this show did enjoy it once they got over the art change, so I think labeling it as the worst Scooby-Doo show are frankly wrong. I think the title belongs to Scooby-Doo Get a Clue.
Huh? It's Saturday, isn't it? Sunday, actually. You did this yesterday, too. I'm starting to think you have a problem.
The Powerpuff Girls was one of the first shows on Cartoon Network, starting in 1998 and running until 2005 with 6 seasons and 78 episodes. This is one of Cartoon Network's most successful and recognized shows, gaining global recognition, multiple Emmys and Annie Awards. The show follows these 3 girls, Buttercup, Blossom and Bubbles, who was created by Professor Utonium, who aimed to make the perfect little girls but accidentally added Chemical X and gave them superpowers such as flight, strength, super speed and a bunch of other powers, and that made these kindergarten age girls a menace to any villain who wanted to show up in their home city of Townsville. This show was so popular that it had its own prequel film in 2002 showing how they became superheroes and how poor Mojo Jojo became a villain. It also had an anime adaptation in 2006 called Powerpuff Girls Z, which had 1 season with 52 episodes, a manga with 2 volumes and a video game. So it was in no way shocking that Cartoon Network wanted to recreate its initial success and make a reboot. The reboot started in 2016 and lasted 3 seasons with 199 episodes, which is actually more than the original, and it ended in 2019. The reboot was overall viewed as a failure by a lot of fans, but it lasted a few seasons, so for Cartoon Network it was fine. The main reason a lot of people do not like this show is that the Powerpuff Girls are not really heroes anymore. They're just girls with powers. The show felt like a sitcom to a lot of people over a superhero show. It is way more focused on the everyday lives of the girls over their crime fighting, and the crime fighting they did have was lackluster and void of heart. There's also this forced romance between Blossom and this new character called Jared a lot of people did not like. They also got rid of Miss Bellum. She was not a main character, but she was very important in my heart. The final show I wanted to talk about is Teen Titans Go, which was a reboot of the TV show Teen Titans. The original Teen Titans was a show about these 5 heroes, Beast Boy, Robin, Cyborg, Raven and Starfire. They live in Jump City in this very subtle tower, and they save the day when they are called. As much as it pains a lot of people to hear, Teen Titans Go was not a failure at all. This show lasted 7 seasons and is still going. It has had multiple films such as Teen Titans Go to the movie, Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, Teen Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls Mayhem in the Multiverse. There was a crossover with another DC show about young heroes called Young Justice, where the Beast Boy of that show goes into a coma and is trapped in Teen Titans Go world in his mind. It was actually really sad and everyone he loved died. Moving on.
I lost one, Mom. I can't lose you, too. Okay, Patrol, spell it out.
There's another time Young Justice appeared in Teen Titans Go, in the episode Let's Get Serious, where Aqualad criticizes the Teen Titans for being too silly and they become this.
But we're both just trying to take down the bad guys.
Is that right?
Quick, before they see us. Who is ready for another of the girls' night out?
A lot of people dislike this Teen Titans because it was so different from the original, as it is a far more comedic take on the characters, but it is still a crime fighting show at its core. There was also the change in art style, which was far more Western, cartoonish, rather than the original's anime-inspired look. The funniest thing this version of Teen Titans did was when they made Robin push Batman's parents back into the alley so they can fix the timeline. The glee on these characters' faces kills me every time. I know they were doing it to make everything right, but a little remorse would not have killed them. Overall, looking into several reboots, remakes and revivals, I have concluded nostalgia plays a big part into public perception of these reboots and whether people online deem them a success. Networks bring shows back assuming that if it worked once, it will work again, but a lot of the times they do fail to catch what made those shows special to the original audiences, so the new audiences don't seem to hold them in their heart as much as older people. A lot of the reboots are not aimed at the original audiences. When I see complaints about them not being exactly like the previous version, I find it weird because most of these shows are not trying to be like their predecessors. They are trying to be something new for younger audiences. A lot of these shows will rough around the edges, but as long as kids enjoy them, I cannot be too harsh on them. Saying that, work in Powerpuff Girls was not something that needed to be animated. Who thought that was a good idea? Some people hate all reboots and only want new original ideas for TV shows, but I think reboots, remakes and revivals do have their place in the world. They offer nostalgia to some, they help resolve loose ends for others, and they give angry people something new to complain about on the internet. And what more could you ask for in the world? That will be all for today. Tell me a reboot you hate. Tell me a reboot you like. Goodbye.